Case, then the cake.
Yeah. With the overview. Okay. Cyborg feminism is about reprogramming techno-rationality in order to remove lines pressed on our bodies and open ourselves up for reorientation. Gender fucking the binary removes stigma to the modified body and challenges the notions of the gender binary of the status quo. The alternative doesn't account for gender binaries. Therefore, the alt doesn't solve case, and the alt can't solve the K. By changing the way that objectivity works, we can implode border wars waged on the body when it deviates from norms. A queer future and imagination produces education previously ignored by the topic, and our case outweighs the critique. We advocate for a cyborg feminist politics through the transference of organs. They ignore okay. You should vote on the essentialism disad, which is an independent voter that went severely undercovered by the 2NR. They say that all of our cards are about women and queers. Oh no, our cards are about the universe of endless genders and self-reflection. That is literally what our entire app is about. It's about modifying ourselves out of this binary about women and about modifying ourselves out of this binary of just women and queers. We're saying that there is literally like an endless amount of genders that we can inhabit, and we can do this by modifying our body to reach this place. They also say that we make ourselves look more feminine in order to join movement. We never limit the way that people can modify their bodies in order to express their identity. And this is still essentializing the way that gender operates in the status quo. The fact that they just read feminism and then talk about women, and then they change the way that they talk about it by the end of the blog to be women and queers, shows how they essentialize, but then they just try and change from it. This essentializes the way that gender operates in the status quo, and ignores the material and ontological pressing of bodies into lines. This literally recreates our impact of pressing bodies into lines, because they literally press movements into lines of what they can and can't be, only a movement for women and queers. And this is also a reason why their alternative doesn't solve the case, because they don't solve for the way that the gender binary operates within the status quo. Also, onto the K. They don't extend their impact at all. So you should evaluate our impact of the way that violence happens to queer bodies, both materially and ontologically. Materially, when literally young trans girls are their hair is cut short because they perform to feminism, and the ontological violence of that, and that their bodies are pressed into the ontological status of that they always have to inhibit a male or masculine body. This is literally this is what our app is trying to escape through the modification of the body, and our impact outweighs their impact of nihilism that isn't extended or talked about enough in the 2NR. Also, they don't answer the perm. We queer the line between perm through the app. We queer the line between pleasure and suffering in order to recreate and recraft our identity. We can mutilate the body in order to see ourselves in the world in a radically new way. This proves how Rosanamon isn't a capital T truth, and our app uses this orientation to talk about what is human and what isn't human. Because we only see in the status quo that the human can either be male or female. We queer that gender binary, so we queer how the way that we see humanism at all in order to disorient ourselves in the binary of pleasure and suffering. They never answer this. They also never answer the net benefits to the perm and thus the app, that we are able to gain more agency over our bodies and also gain limitlessness in that we're able to express ourselves in limitless ways. They don't have a unique reason why our app causes more ressentiment they don't have a unique reason why our app causes more ressentiment in the status quo if we're still embracing the suffering that they're critiquing. We try and move or securitize away from. We're literally causing violence to our bodies. I don't see how that's securitizing my body. I don't see how that's trying to securitize my body away from violence. We're literally they can literally work together, and also we can queer the their neg is about queering the binary between pleasure and their neg is about queering the the binary between pleasure and suffering, and that's literally what our app does. Also, extend the universalism turn. That they say that they can see that we're doing violence against ourselves, and if I'm doing violence against myself, and all violence equals raisonnement, but then they say that what I'm doing to myself is a raisonnement, then what is it? This proves how a queering of how there is, first there is no capital T truth, and also how our app solves for the way that those capital T truths define ourselves. That we can use queer theory in order to queer theory. And to turn theory on its head and to see the ways that it doesn't really answer all of us. They reduce the queer body to just accept pain is inevitable, which is extremely problematic. They don't extend warrants for how specifically they solve raisonnement. Saying to affirm life doesn't simply do enough. There's no model for what the queer body should do when the oppressor beats them. Their alt doesn't make any sense. Don't let them get away with this. I don't understand the way that the negative position themselves within the round. If the app makes a 0.00000.1 or 0.00.1% chance that it makes a better world for me and Slam as people that are trying to escape the gender binary, then you vote app within this round to prefer our specificity.